Hey guys, what's up? So today I'm going to be making a video to show how I normally just run my own casual CoX runs, and I managed to get about 3 kills per hour, 3 KC per hour. So that's 3 full runs every hour, give or take maybe a couple minutes, but I do it very casually. And one of the big things that I find helps is I always bring the exact same inventory. So the inventory that we can see right now that I'm bringing, I bring that for every raid. Whether I need those items or not, I just bring them. And that allows for really quick bank trips in between raids where I can just restock my potions and send it again. And basically, when I look at my layout up in the top left, as long as I have a room that's going to give me an overload, that's all I require. So we can see right there I got muted aisles, and they'll give me an overload, and that's the only like hard requirement that I have to run the raid. I will run any room. So I'm not using a Blood Fury. That's way too expensive and it's unneeded. I think they're like 15 mil for a blood shard right now. So, yeah, really, before we send it, if you've been watching any of my Cox guides, if you've been watching any of my guides in general, and you've been hanging around the channel and haven't subbed yet, throw me that sub, throw me that like, and we're going to start jumping into it. So here comes our pre-pot. And yeah, I'll be filling this up mostly with at least 3 brews. I'll be bringing at least 3 brews, and then either 2 anglers or maybe I even bring a phoenix necklace. If I'm gonna have a Vasa, I'll only bring a phoenix necklace for Vasa. But we'll talk about my items really quick. I have a 6-way range swap, 6-way mage swap, and I bring an Elder Maul or a Dragon Warhammer, whichever you can afford. Um, that's going to be my special attack weapon for defense reduction. I bring claws. Those actually are my stab weapon, but I really only use them at Bossa and maybe Vanguards, even though Vanguards are slow. But claws are my stab slash special attack weapon, and of course I bring a pickaxe. Vengeance spells. I do use Vengeance for either Vasa or Tecton. And finally, I bring a Sang Staff. I do use a Sang for Olm. The passive healing is really nice, especially since I'm not using a Blood Fury, and I personally really like 3-0. I like it more than any of the Shadow methods, and I really like the healing. But we can see right here, the first room is going to be Mystics. And if you have Max Mage, you can just Mage him down. If you don't have Max Mage, and that means you're using like a T-Bow or a Bofa, then you can just range them. I don't bring a salve, but that's because I'm using the mage method. If you are bringing range, you might want to consider bringing a salve. I don't know if you're going to want to bring it for every trip or not, but I suppose if you have mystics, you might want to consider bringing a salve if you're using a range method. But it's a pretty quick room regardless, whether you're using range or mage. And it's really just a free room in my opinion. Hopefully you don't take too much chip damage. Nothing else to really worry about. But you can see that the next room we have coming up after Mystics, it's going to be Ice Demon, and sadly that is one of those slow rooms that takes somewhere between 2 and 3 minutes to finish up Ice Demon. But like I said before, I just send it. It doesn't really bother me if I'm going to have a 19-minute raid, a 20-minute raid, or a 21-minute raid. You know, at the end of the day, in my opinion, it's all the same thing. I'm just trying to send as many raids per hour. And I feel that the bank trips are what really take up a lot of time, having to constantly re-gear, having to constantly think about what items to bring, or maybe resetting for the perfect layout. I think that wastes a lot of time. But when we get to Ice Demon, I always drop enough items right there by the tinderbox so that I have 3 open spaces, and that's going to be for the tinderbox, the axe, and the kindling. And while my braziers are lit and the Ice Demon is melting, I just run back and I go and grab those pots that I dropped because this will be a no prep raid. These will all be no prep raids. Um, so I try to get at least 22 kindling, somewhere between 22 and 28, really 20 plus for that first brazier light, and then I go back and I do it again. And I keep my mouse hovered over another tree because if this one goes down, I want to stay in that 5 tick cycle. So you grab kindling every 5 ticks, and I'm trying to get 20 plus again. So there we go, I got 26, and I hurry up and I go light that second brazier. And the third brazier, you don't, again, you don't need a full inventory. Just try to grab about 20, 20-ish. For the third brazier, especially if you lit those first two pretty quickly, you don't even necessarily need 20. But I'm going to get close to 20. Let's see where we're at now. 10, 11. We'll just send it. And I'll go and light that brazier and drop that tinderbox in the axe. And I'm going to go back and grab my pots while the ice demon is melting. And I have, you can see I'm in my melee gear. I have my special attack weapon, my defense reduction weapon, the Elder Maul equipped, and I'm going to send 2 quick special hits on the Ice Demon as soon as he spawns. So here we go, ready? 1, and then I hit him a second time really quick, 2. And then I throw on my range gear, and because I'm not bringing any special fire spells, I am using Vengeance for these runs. And what I like to do is I like to take my run off, see, and I just start walking, and I constantly walk and attack every 5 ticks. And this is how I like to do the Ice Demon. I don't have a set pattern that I walk, and I know some people like to do it in that little corner gap that I'm at right now, that little inlet. But really, I just walk around and try to hang out near the exit if possible, and I shoot Ice Demon down until he's gone. And he drops nothing. I'm not going to pick anything up, and I'm just going to run off into the next room. And you can see I always bring a Sandfuse serum. It doesn't matter if I have shamans or not. I always bring a Sandfuse serum because I don't want to be thinking about it. And funny enough, this first raid that we're gonna send, it does have a shaman, so it's a good thing I brought that Sandfuse serum. Now you can see I did just drink a dose of my stamina potion, and I don't bring purple sweets. That stuff's way too expensive. I don't got the money to just be wasting on purple sweets on my runs, but I am willing to drink 1 to 2 doses throughout my raid before I get to Olm. I want at least a full stamina and a half for Olm. I probably won't be drinking that whole thing for Olm, but I am willing to drink a couple sips of my stamina potion throughout the raid. It doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, for the shamans, just circle the perimeter, circle the outside of the perimeter. If you want to jump them, you can, depending on your layout, but really, I just try to circle the perimeter as much as possible. If he were to jump, I would probably just switch to the next shaman while he's in that jump animation and then continue to kill that first shaman that I already had some damage put out on. But yeah, we're just going to take these shamans down. Pretty quick room. I guess it can be a little slow with bad RNG, but it's an easy room. And like I said, I'll take any room we can get. It really doesn't matter to me. So this kind of guide is for a more experienced raider. It's not your first CoX. But what's nice if you're watching this and it is one of your first, or you're just getting into solo CoX, we're going to see a lot of different Olm examples. But here we go. We go into Mutadile and I grab that axe. Now, after the recent CoX updates, there is an axe that spawns right here in every Mutadile room, and I still chop the tree. I don't bother doing freezes. I don't bother bringing a ZGS. I just chop that tree down. And you can see I put my mage gear on and I'm using the Sang because the Sang gives me a little bit of passive healing while I'm chopping that tree. And it's going to help me save some of my supplies. And I'm willing to hit Mutadile until he gets down to about half health. Because I don't want him eating from that tree, and sadly he did a lot of damage to me, so I did have to drink a couple brew sips here. But once that tree's down, I just get melee range and try to keep my health somewhat high and take down Mutadile. I really don't want to be wasting too many brews, especially because Olm is coming up, but this is the last combat room in the raid, so if I have to drink some brew, it's okay. You gotta do what you gotta do. You know, it's way better. You're gonna lose a bunch of your points. You're gonna lose a bunch of your time if you die. So if you gotta use those brews, just use them. And you can see that Mutadile like completely destroyed me on this kill. I had to do some tick eating Really poor RNG. He still doesn't want to die, right? And now I'm shooting him with the T-bow because he just doesn't want to go down. And I used 2 full brews to kill that muted isle, so that was brutal. But at the end of the day, it's not really going to matter. Because this big muted isle, he is going to drop, Mama is going to drop a brew for me, and I should have more than enough to go into Olm, especially with my Sang. Hopefully my Sang pops off and does some really nice healing for me. But this is the end of the combat rooms in the raid getaway, just so she doesn't chomp us. And I'm pretty low health, so at this point I kind of have to tick eat, stay decent HP. And this was probably one of the worst RNG muted isle rooms I've done in a while. She just absolutely destroyed me. Both the baby and the mama did a lot of damage to me. I drank 3 full brews for this room, and it looks like I'm only going to have 2 brews plus 1 dose to go into Olm with. But on the bright side, I have a fully stacked inventory. I have more than enough super restores to finish this off. And yeah, we're going to be entering Olm with just these 2 brews, and we're going to just have to make it work. So we're going into the thieving room, and it's really easy. We all know how to do thieving, just get those 30 grubs. And what I like to do for the thieving room is I try to get somewhere between 16 and 18 grubs. And then I will fill that trough so that he starts eating. I'm not going to get the full, 28 inventory slots and then start feeding him. I'm going to start feeding him as soon as I have about 16-ish grubs. And that way he's eating while I'm getting those last few grubs, right? And it saves just that little bit of time. So there's these tiny little micro efficiencies that you can do. And they do speed up the raid. When you perform multiple micro efficiencies throughout the raid, you can save a minute or 2 here and there, especially during the rooms. But we can see right there, I have 19 grubs, and I'm gonna feed him and grab those last 11. And I have that grub counter up in my top left corner, so let's see, I'm at 23. 25, 27, so that means I need to open 1 or 2 more chests, and I got that lucky trio, that lucky 3, and there's my 30. And at this point, I checked the bank just to make sure I didn't forget anything, and we're getting ready to head into Ulm. And like I told you before, I like to do the saying. I like the healing. I like 3-0. I'm comfortable with 3-0, and I don't have any problem doing 3-0. And you can see I drank my overload a little bit early here. I probably didn't need to drink it that early, but it's okay because we're expecting Ulm to be somewhere between 9 to 10 minutes. That's what I like to aim for, a 9 to 10 minute solo Ulm. And we're definitely going to have to be drinking another dose of overload throughout the fight. So even though I drank it a little early, it's okay. And you can see I still have those 6 doses of stamina, so we're going to top off here. And I'm running straight into Ulm, and as soon as my run energy reaches about 80%, I could top off my run energy with the stamina right there, but I just drank it early, and we're sending it. And you can see I only have 8 HP right here, but we're going to see how I engage Ulm, and I always engage Ulm the exact same way. This is my engage tile. This is always my engage tile, regardless of the side he spawns on. And we got lucky and he spawned on our side, and we can attack him on that very first tick possible. If he spawned on the other side, we can still use that same engage tile, but we're going to be taking 1 basic attack. It might be a mage hit, it might be a range hit, and because my health was so low, I would just tick eat it, regardless of what it was. I would just use 1 dose of brew to tick eat it. But at this point, we're in the 3-0 cycle, and I'm really hoping that my Sang pops off and gets some of my health back before I go into that melee hand, especially because we are not using a Blood Fury for this, and that Mage Hand is half down, and we have not healed very much. So if it stays like this, and I don't get much of my health back, I am going to drink a dose or 2 of my brew before we go into that the melee hand. But let's see what this thing can do. Maybe it can work its magic and get some of my health back. And we're just going to have to play it by ear. So I don't want to drink my brews early. I want to save them and see how much healing my Sang can actually do before we go into that melee hand. And it looks like we're hanging out around the mid-30s. Hopefully we can get one really nice heal off. Like if we could hit for 40 damage and heal half that, it would be awesome. So let's see. Mage Hand is about to go down. It's really low, and we're just really, like, anxiety is high right now, guys. We really want that Sing to do a little bit of healing for us because we're going in really low. And it looks like all we have is that 36 health. So at this point, I throw on my melee gear and watch how I do this special attack, right? 1, and I'm going to do a 2-1. So there we go. And I run to throw on that scythe, and now we go right into the 3-1, the 3-1 melee hand, and we see what he does. So here's 1 hit. And he's instantly set. We got really lucky, really nice RNG right there where he was instantly put into the 3-1 cycle. So we're just going to continue it up. And we're going to use as little brew as possible, right? I'm not too worried about my health right now. He can't just wombo combo one-shot me. He's not going to hit a 37 even if it was off prayer. And at this point, I just want to kill that melee hand as fast as possible so I can get back to singing on the mage hand and get my health back. There we go. He just hit us with a mage prayer, so we're going to swap our prayer. But we're not at the risk of getting one shot, so this is okay. And we only used, what? We used like maybe 1 dose of brew throughout that entire phase, and it ended up being really nice. So hopefully just one more hit. Oh, and he burns us. So bad, so bad. That's just wasting our brew. This is going to be automatic damage, and I am probably, with these falling crystals, we're just going to drink a sip of brew. And hopefully our Sing does a better job on phase 2. And we can see right now we're at going into 14 minutes. So we're about 14 minutes into this raid. It's looking like it's probably going to be one of those 20-minute raids. This is going to be a pretty standard 20-minute raid. But we attack 4 ticks after his hand becomes attackable, right? So I'm not using the visual metronome for this run, but after his hand becomes attackable, you can just count 4 ticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you hit after you say 4, right? And that's what we did back there. But anyway, and maybe we'll show that off for the next phase if I'm focused enough to think about counting. And I should say, this is not a live commentary. This is a voiceover commentary. I recorded this footage a couple days ago, and this is just the first chance I'm getting to actually do that hours-long voiceover commentary. So greetings from the future. And yeah, let's see how that Sing goes this time. So let's see, we're about halfway through the fight right now. We're approaching that halfway point, and I have used 3 doses of my stamina at this point. So we're right on track with our stamina, and we just drank our 2nd dose of overload going into the fight, and hopefully our Sing can pop off right now, and it looks like it's doing a significantly better job than it did last time. We're back up to 67 health, we're fully overloaded up, and maybe we can get one last really big heal before this hand goes down. Let's see. And no, so we're entering the melee phase with 67 health, and we're going to do the same thing that we did last time. We're going to hit with that that Elder Maul special attack, and that was Scuffed. So that was really bad way to start the melee hand. We still don't have our special attack off, but now we're doing it, and we're going to do that 2-1 again. So there's 2, and he hits us. And we go right into a 3-1 cycle, and we still don't know what kind of cycle he's in. So let's see what happens. And we get hit by lightning special attack. It's just going absolutely horrible. Very bad Scuffed melee hand. And we're going to have to get into cycle. So let's see what happens. We'll just go right into a 3-1. We saw I did a special attack, and we should be avoiding portals right now. And he just did 2 basic attacks on us. So we should do a 2-1 right now. Here we go, 2-1. And that throws us immediately into the 3-1 cycle. So that was a very Scuffed melee hand. We used a dose or 2 of brew. We even got hit by one of those falling crystals, but we did manage to get him into the 3-1 cycle relatively smoothly after we took that that hit from lightning, and his 2nd phase is down. So we're down to 29 health. And apparently while running, we're just going to get clonked in the head by one of those crystals and a 2nd crystal. So we're not doing too good on our supplies right now. We have 1 brew left. I think we have 3 dose of brew left, so we're going to try to save that dose of brew and heal as much as possible going into this Mage Hand right here. And we started off with a really lucky heal. and we're just going to keep doing 3-0 and pray to RNGesus that our Sang pops off and actually gives us some of our health back. It hasn't been doing a great job through this fight, but I'd say overall so far going into phase 3, our Sang has healed probably roughly around 50 health, and when you think about that, that's what? That's 2.5 doses of brew. If we didn't have this Sang, we would really be hurting for supplies right now. It'd be looking sketchy, but I'm not worried. We got that Sang staff. We do still have some brews, and we can hope that we get healed up right here. So we're hanging out at, 32 to 52 health. So our Sang really did its job right there. That was really, really nice. And this is the reason why I love the Sang staff for my no prep runs, because it really does work. It saved me at least a full brew. Wow, all the way up to 69 health. And Sang is really doing a great job. I'm really happy with my position going into the melee hand. I have 70 health, and we're going to get that Elder Maul special attack off. And I just got my spec bar back again, 50%, so I can get that second one off. 2-1 and go straight into a melee hand. We're going to do that 3-1 and see what he does. So here's that first hit, and he's instantly set. He's in that 3-1 cycle, so really nice. So we had a really nice phase 1, putting him directly into a 3-1 cycle. Really nice phase 3, putting him into that 3-1 cycle, and it makes up for that super scuffed phase 2. Phase 2 melee hand was definitely scuffed, but at times it happens. So check out this flame wall. Look at how I deal with flame wall. Boom, and some fancy footwork, I can completely ignore it, right? So from attacking to the thumb, I went straight to his middle finger, right? Instead of going all the way to that yellow tile like I did right there, I actually did an extra little bonus click and went to his middle finger, and the timing works out perfectly where you can completely ignore that flame wall. It's as if it never happened. And we go into our Sang, finish off that Mage Hand, and go straight into range, and we will be doing 4-1 efficient range head, or at least an attempt at it. We're starting off kind of bad. We're not in cycle yet. We need to get him into that 4-1 range head cycle, and here we go. Boom, that starts the 4-1 cycle. So it's 1-2, double back hit. Right there, he hits us once, and we hit him for the 4th hit. So here we go, right? This is 4-1. 1, 2, double back hit. He hits us once, and we hit him one last time, and that's our 4-1 efficient range head cycle. And I have a video showcasing exactly how to do this 4-1 range head cycle if you want an in-depth explanation of how to get it set up and how to do it. But we are doing 4-1 efficient range head. We did have a really slow kill. This ended up being a really slow Olm, and we needed that last sip of overload. So I'm thinking this is actually more like an 11-minute Olm, which does end up being a slow kill, but we still have brew, and we're just going to finish him off and run straight into our next kill. So we're low on prayer. Got to make sure we keep that prayer up. Looks like it just dropped, but we'll get that prayer up really quick. And I'm kind of trying to avoid crystals as I go. So you can see I am falling out of efficient 4-1 Olm range head, but that's because I'd rather not take those crystals. So I'm kind of playing it by ear, right? I don't want to take crystals, but at the same time I want to be efficient and not waste that brew. And we finished this Olm with 1 dose of brew left over. And that was about, I didn't really look at it, that might have been a 21-minute KC. So we're falling a little behind, but we're still on pace to get roughly 3 KC per hour. Now watch this bank trip. Watch how fast this bank trip goes, guys. Right, we go straight in, and we see we got a Mutadile first room, and we're just going to send it. So I hurry up, and I throw everything in the bank, all those potions in the bank, and I grab, boom, 2 stamina, 3 super restore, 1 Samfuse serum, and my pre-pot. And I hurry up and I do my pre-pot. Pre-pot is 5 potions, right? So there we go. Get that pre-pot off. Throw them back in. Grab 3 more 3 more brews and 2 anglers, and we just send it. And that was a very fast bank trip. No time to waste. Just grab those potions. I always grab the same amount of potions. It's always the same set, right? So you can see my inventory looks more or less exactly the same as it did last time. I think last time I brought 4 brews. This time I'm bringing 3 brews but 2 anglers. And we're going straight into Mutadile. And the reason I'm bringing those anglers for Mutadile is because that way I don't brew myself down, right? And I'm thinking this time, because I took so much damage using Ancestral last time, is that this time I will be wearing my range gear as a little bit of extra defense, because I wasted way too many supplies last time, right? And look, he's already at half health, so we're having a much nicer Mutadile this time, right? He walks away from us, so I put that range prey on, and when I see him walking back in, I throw that melee prayer on, because he's going for that melee. But just like before, we chop that tree, get those Sang hits on. We're willing to get him down to half health, and he's like basically at exactly half health right now. And we're going to get this tree down and go straight into maging Mutadile. And we can see we did take some hits, so we'll combo eat that angler into a brew. And we're just going to take down baby really quick. We might have to drink a little bit extra brew, right? So there we go. We're going to top ourselves off, get that brew, keep our health a little bit high. I guess we're not going to go all the way back up to full HP, but we don't want to be hanging out in the danger zone. And once he's down, we throw that range gear on just like before, and we're going to take down Mama. And we finally get to see what our layout is going to look like. So what do we got? While we're killing Mama, we can see we got Mutadiles, decent room. We got Ice Demon, which is really slow. Vanguards, which is extremely slow. Vanguards is probably my least favorite room to get in a raid. And then we got Vespula, a good room, and Tecton, which is also a good room. So this is definitely not an ideal raid, right? Especially speed-wise. I mean, just overall. We got Ice Demon, we got Vanguards, and I think we had Ice Demon in that last raid too. So these were not very fast raids just because we have that Ice Demon, and this time we got Ice Demon and Vanguards. But we're going to grab our potions, and since we have way too many restores right now, we'll use one up, and we want to grab that prayer enhance, right? We want all 4 of those Mutadile potions. Don't want to leave one behind. Now remember, what did we do last time, right? We go to that tinderbox and we drop 3 potions really quick. Boom, boom, boom. And that way we have 3 open inventory slots, right? 1 for the axe, 1 for the tinderbox, and 1 for the kindling. So we're actually going about Ice Demon exactly the same way as before. And let me point this out. Between chops, right? Between XP drops, I can kind of walk. So check that out, right? XP drop, walk, and I walk myself as close to the Ice Demon as possible, right? Because I don't want to be wasting time when I go to light those braziers. So there we go, right? I was at the closest possible tree when it's time to light that brazier, and I used 25 kindling, which is perfect. Like I said in that last raid, right? I want to be above 20, 22 to 28. So 25 was perfect, and I'm going to use that 25 to light that first brazier, and now we're looking for 20 plus. So 23 is perfect. Probably could have ran right there, but 25 is fine, and we're just going to send that 25, and just like before, and now we're looking for 20-ish. We definitely don't need more than 20 for that third brazier, so let's see what we get, right? Ooh, a nice fat 8 right off the bat, and a 12, we can probably just send that, especially since our tree was depleted at this point. So while the Ice Demon is melting, and that was actually a really fast chopping session, we go in and we grab our potions back, right? And we're not overloaded up, so we need to hurry up and overload. So here we go. We drink that overload, brew up, get all of our health back, right? This is a point in the raid where we're actually fine to brew up all the way because our next room is going to be Vanguards, and Vanguards are going to completely top off our supplies. We're going to have a full set of supplies by we finish Vanguards, so it's worth it to just use as many supplies as we want right now, right? And I can even drop that overload because I know I'm going to get another one at Vanguards. And we start the kill just like before with those 2 either Dragon Warhammers or Elder Mole special attacks. And then we go into our range gear, and like I said, I like to turn my run off. So there we go. We turn that run off. We just start walking around, hitting Ice Demon as we go every 5 ticks. Try to stay efficient. Try and get him on that 5-tick cycle. And you don't even have to be circling the room like I did before, right? You can just kind of walk back and forth. As long as you have a little bit of distance between you and the Ice Demon, there's nothing fancy you got to do. just don't walk back into a boulder that he just threw, right? So always kind of keep moving forward. See, right there, I had plenty of time to kind of switch my direction and get out of the path of that last boulder he shot. But I just try to attack every 5 ticks while constantly walking, changing my path, throwing the ice demon off guard, right? He's dumb, so he never shoots where you're gonna be. He always shoots where you were. So you just never want to walk back to where you just were, right? Otherwise, you might take a big old ice ball to the face. And we're going into vanguards. And I like to start my vanguards always in my range gear. I usually start in my range gear and I want to hit the major. So let's see, where's that major at? There he is. And I shoot him real quick with a T-bow. Bad hit, only had a 40 XP drop. Going into, let's see, one more hit, a 220, really nice. And that keeps him low. And I'm going to go and I'm going to hit this meleeer with my claws. And you guys won't believe this. Look at what happens. Max claw, and it instantly resets him. So sad, guys. So like, what can you even do? Yeah, LOL, because that was just unavoidable. A one-hit claw to instantly reset him. Really sad, really sad. But what's nice about Vanguards is everybody, especially in a normal mode run, the Shadow just pops off. Shadow can hit all of these guys somewhat consistently. It's pretty nice, but we see that that major is the one with the most amount of health, so I want to get a nice hit off on him. And I'm more worried about hitting efficiently and just getting hits off and hoping that I hit than necessarily using the correct attack style, right? Especially because we don't want to be resetting them all the time. So let's do this meleeer, or I mean this ranger. Will hit him with our melee, and that looks pretty good. We got him pretty low, and now we're going to hit that major. Keep him even, right? And we definitely don't want to do another reset at this point. So like I said, right, I'd rather hit that guy with just a T-bow shot than worry about doing a max mage swap and not getting that hit off because they dug too early, right? But they're getting pretty low, and get one more good hit off on the ranger and one more good hit off on the major, and at that point we're good to kill, right? So at this point, if I just stay on the major, we're actually good to kill. So kind of slow Vanguard room, especially because of that awful RNG claw reset. I mean, that was just sad. That was embarrassing. And this major just doesn't want to die either. So not a very efficient room. Didn't do very good here. RNG kind of screwed us a little bit. We didn't have the best swaps, but it's okay. We're about 7.5 minutes into the raid, and that meleeer didn't want to die either. So I'm picking up some supplies, right? We'll slap him once. Got lucky and it killed him. And now we'll go kill that ranger really quick, and hopefully we can take him down before he digs. And I'm kind of picking up potions as I go. I want to be fully, I want my health completely full for Vespula. I like entering Vespula with full HP. I feel like I can maximize my DPS, and one of the problems that I'm not focusing on right here is I'm not paying attention actually to how much time my overload has left, and it only has about 35 seconds left, and I just decide to send it. I don't even think about it, and I'm like, you can see right there, right? I even almost double back my mouse to think about going and grabbing those overloads, because it was at this point where I actually realized that I was really low on overload, and I wanted that for Vespula. Even though she's gonna drop a new overload when I kill her, I'm entering with only 15 seconds that I'm leaving on my overload. So we're just gambling at this point, but I'm hitting really big. Look at that, a nice 52. A 52 into a really fat 41, and I'm like, oh dude, I'm nuking it. I didn't even need that overload, and I feel like I made a good decision just in time for that overload to run out. And look at this horrible RNG that we're going to get right here, right? That portal's all the way down to 25 health. It's one hit away from dying, and it will not fall. I'm just having the absolute worst noodle staff of all time. Literally 4 or 5 hits in a row before that pillar fell. But it's okay. Vespula is just a naturally quick room with or without that overload, especially if you're using Max Mage. And at this point, I want to get as many supplies as possible going into Olm. That last Olm was a little scuffed, a little sketchy on my supplies, and this time we're going in with 4 completely full brews. Look at all these brews we have for Olm this time. And we still have Tectons, so we're going in. We got that full special attack bar, and this is one of those rooms where I use that Vengeance. And I'm going to get that double Elder Maul hit, and because my HP is only at a 56, I'm not comfortable to take an off prayer vengeance, so I'm gonna keep my prayer on and I'm gonna let him smack me. I want to get that venge hit, and hopefully he hits fairly decently on me. Let's see what we can get. Hits a 0, hoping for that venge. He hits a 12, so not the best vengeance, and we don't end up getting that 1 down Tecton, which is okay. We should never really be expecting a 1 down Tecton unless we're being, you know, a full HP, like, off prayer venge, plus maybe we have our, maybe we're using the mace, but it's okay. What are we losing? A few seconds. It's not really the end of the world. And we're just going to slide Tech Talk down, and he is done. And the only item I want is that revitalization potion, because 3 doses of overload and 3 doses of prayer enhance is more than enough. And we got this pool right here, so I can get my run energy completely full, and I don't even need to waste that dose of stamina potion. But what we're going to do is we're going to be watching our stamina, and when it drops to 80, it might be a good time to just stam, so I don't necessarily hit another pool. So we have a nice shortcut right here, and we're just going to send it, right? And at this point, we can do one of two things. We can either drink that sip of stam, but I kind of want my 6 doses for Olm, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way into this final room and just use our run energy naturally, and we will hit that last yellow pool before we go, right? So that was a decision that we make on the fly. We can decide, do we want to waste a couple extra seconds hitting that pool, or do we want to drink our stamina? And since we're not intentionally speedrunning, going for a super duper fast time, we can just drink that pool and go. But we entered Olm pretty slow. This was definitely one of the slower runs, right? Entering at past 11 minutes, going into 12. And check out how I did that engage. So for that engage, I still engaged from the front tile, but when I saw he was on the opposite side, and you can rewind to watch this, is that I spam clicked his hand. As soon as I saw that he was spawning on the opposite side, I spam clicked his hand, and as soon as my attack goes off after spam clicking, I go straight into the 3-0 cycle. So that's actually a really nice engage that I wish I focused on when I actually, when it happened live. But you might want to rewind right there and see how did I engage Olm right there. That was a really nice engage, and that's how I always engage. Every single time he spawns for the very first phase 1 on the opposite side of the room, I always engage him the way that I just did going into this phase 1. But anyway, back to the fight. We're in that 3-0 cycle, and I'm hoping that my Sang does a little bit of healing. But the pressure is really off for this kill. I have so many brews. I have 4 brews that I'm really not worried about any of my supplies at this point. This should be a very clean, very easy kill. The Sang can do what it needs to do, but it doesn't even really matter. All I care about at this point is killing cleanly and quickly, and hopefully I can get a nice 3-1 cycle going as soon as this Mage Hand goes down. But I'm not worried about my supplies one bit going into this kill. So we're swapping in that melee gear, throwing that Elder Maul like we did in that last kill, right? We're going to do a 2-1. So there's a 1, and there's a 2. And we're going to go straight into the 3-1 cycle, not going to waste any time. And we're watching what he does. So let's see what he does right here. So he hits us with a basic attack, and he is instantly set into the 3-1 cycle because he didn't shoot a second basic attack or a special attack. So very nice. Got a very spooned instant set 3-1 cycle, and we're just going to keep it up. So at this point, we're just doing pure 3-1, hoping to take him down as fast as possible. We need to pay attention to our stamina, our run energy, right? So our run energy is getting down to 60, and we're unstammed. So we do need to be stamming as soon as we realize it, and there we go. Boom. We drink that stamina dose, and we continue on with our kill. And this phase 1 went extremely smooth. Looks like we're finishing him up, and we're still at 70 HP right now. He jazzed us into a mage hit, and we got to swap our prayer, but he is down, and we're still like over 50 health, which is really, really nice. So that overload's going off right about now. We can wait for it to finish so we get that 50 HP heal, and as soon as that overload finishes, boom, we get that 50 heal and it's time to re-overload up. So if you see that your overload's about to empty out, it's really good to wait because it is going to heal you a full 50 health as soon as its timer runs out. And at this point we're hovering and we're waiting for Olm, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we click. And there we go. So he can, you want to hit him 4 ticks after he becomes active, right? So even if we're not using our visual metronome, we can count that. We can just go for it. And if you want to keep using your visual metronome, it's fine. There's no harm in using your visual metronome. I've just done so many CoX. I have over 1,000 solo CoX under my belt, and I just, at this point, I just got that timing down pat. But it's okay if you don't. It comes with practice. It comes with experience. Use your visual metronome if you feel comfortable with it. Just know that going into phase 2 and phase 3, when his Mage Hand spawns, you want to attack after the 4 ticks. So you'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hit, and he'll be instant set into a 3-0 cycle. But it looks like our Sang did some work. It doesn't really matter anyway. We still have 4 brews. And I've said it before. I said it on the first Olm that we killed, right? But having that Sang is just a godsend when it comes to your health. It doesn't really matter how many brews you enter in with, whether you enter in with just 1 or 2 brews or whether you enter in with a bunch. Having that Sang just do constant healing on you, it's so nice. It's really unbeatable, and in my opinion, it's way better. I mean, it's just as good as the Blood Fury or better. But let's see, he hit us once, and he's instantly set in that 3-1 cycle again. So we're getting some really nice Olm melee hands right now, right? Where we don't have to worry about doing either 2 hits or a potential 1-0. As a matter of fact, I don't think that we've had to do a 1-0 yet, and this was our 5th melee hand. I think we're on our 5th melee hand right now. By the end of this video, we will have seen 9 different melee hands, so that's plenty of different opportunities to see how do we deal with a Scuffed melee hand, how do we set him into that 3-1 cycle, how do we use our Elder Maul special attacks efficiently without losing too many ticks. And we can see right now there's a lot of jatting going on. We've taken some damage, and it's time to sip that brew. I like to stay, especially if I have the supplies to be wasting, I like to stay around 50 health plus. You don't need to stay at full HP for these solo Olms. But if you feel comfortable and you have the supplies to use, you can always stay high health. But it looks like we are going into phase 3 and we're about 17.5 minutes right now. So I'm tired of wasting time, and I forget about the 3-1 and I just send it. I just take down that melee hand because he was such low health. And I was tired of how long this raid was taking, especially with that early Vanguards, and we had another Ice Demon. And I'm just trying to save a few extra seconds here. You don't have to finish him off in a 3-1 cycle. You can always just, take that extra hit and take him down early. But here we go. So let's check it out. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, hit. Boom. And he's instantly set into that 3-1 or that 3-0 cycle, right? So you can always be just counting those ticks mentally. Count out loud if you really want to. I did it right there just so you guys could see that timing. That you don't need that visual metronome. Once you see that hand goes active, you can just mentally count 4 ticks and do your attack after you hit the 4, right? So you would hit not on the 4, but after the 4th tick, but before the 5th tick. So here we go. We're in that final phase of the fight, and we're hoping that our Sang does a little bit of work right here, but we still have literally all of our supplies. We haven't used any of our brew. I think we've sipped 1 sip of brew throughout this entire run right here, and that is without a Blood Fury. Like I said, we are not using a Blood Fury for this run. So let me point out another thing. You can see my health is kind of, or not my health, my prayer is kind of low. It's at 40-39 prayer right now. You don't need to have fully topped off prayer. You do not need your prayer to be absolutely full when running these solos. And that's because if he uses the smite orbs on you, it's going to drain half of your current prayer points. Right? So if you're always full, every time he smites you, he's going to drain you for like 40 or 50 prayer. It's really bad. So we do that Elder Maul, and we can see right there he used a special attack. So here's our 1-0. Boom, we go right into the 1-0. And now we see what he does next. So he's forced out of special attacks at this point, right? So he hits us once, and we see what happens. And he's instantly set into that 3-1 cycle. So because we saw that special attack come off, we did a quick 1-0. And if you are unfamiliar with how to set the melee hand, I have a 3-1 and 4-1 strategy guide where we talk all about how to set the melee hand, how if we see one of those special attacks, we're always going to do a 1-0 because that'll force him out of those special attacks. But that was a really good example of when we see a special attack, do a really quick 1-0 and he will never use them again. And there's a 50-50 chance, there's literally a 50-50 chance of when seeing a special attack and going into that 1-0 that it instantly sets him into a 3-1 melee. And we had a very smooth transition right there. And we are going to go right into, yet again, an efficient 4-1 range head. And so we're running 4-1 range head right now. This is efficient 4-1 range head, right? Double back hit. This is where he hits us one time. And we can actually go for that pool. So we'll throw ourselves out of cycle, but we will keep hitting him every 5th tick, and it'll automatically throw us back into the 4-1 efficient Olm Head, as long as we keep our pace, right? That was a little mess up right there, but here it is, double back hit, and we are in the 4-1 cycle. So check it out. 1, 2, double back hit. He hits us once, and 4. Right, and we are in that efficient 4-1 range head cycle. And this was actually, I think that this was a 0 tick loss range head. I think we attacked every 5th tick. We might have taken an extra damage or two, but you know, when you have all these brews, it really doesn't matter. You can play as risky as you want. And that was a 21-39. So what do we have right now? We have about 2 21-minute kills. So both of these runs so far have been about 21 minutes. And we are still on pace to do just about 3 runs in an hour. So let's see how we do this banking again, right? We're going to have another chance at this banking. We hurry up, store everything, grab 2 staminas, 3 stupor restores, a Sandfew, and our pre-pot. So there's our pre-pot. Hurry up and drink that really fast. Drink all of our pre-pot. Put it away. And we're going to grab 3 brews and 2 anglers, and we send it. And look at how fast that bank trip was, boys. We waste no time banking, and that's one of the biggest time wasters when we're going into these solo CoX. And what I did was I saw it was a 5-room raid, and I didn't necessarily see that I had an overload or not. So I just kind of gambled it here. I was rushing a little too much. And we're just going to have to see what we get. And there we go. We have a Mutadile and a Vanguard. So we did get lucky. We did get lucky getting a overload raid, which is pretty common these days, especially since you can get them from Vespula, you can get them from Vasa. You know, there's a lot more rooms these days that give you overloads. But sadly, we are stuck with another round of Vanguards. Just one of these really slow raids. So when you think of running a fast raid, right? Vanguards are not going to be on your list, and neither is Ice Demon. Ice Demon, Vanguards, they're just really slow rooms, but we're running them anyway, and we're still getting between 20 and 21 minute runs. And in my opinion, you know, that is absolutely fine. I really don't care if my raid is going to take me 20 minutes or 19 minutes or 21 minutes. All I want to do is be able to send raids. I just want to send as many raids as possible in an hour, and I don't want to be wasting time scouting. I don't want to be wasting time bank tripping. I would rather just take any room I can get, and if it's going to add 30 seconds to my run, or if it's going to add a minute to my run, you know, oh well. It's not really the end of the world, and I get a lot of experience and practice running all kinds of different layouts and all kinds of different rooms, and it makes me comfortable with whatever is thrown at me, right? So I was hoping I could maybe safe spot that shaman, but it didn't end up working out, and I'm just going to hit him from the perimeter again. Just like we've talked about before, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to jump him. You don't need to save spawn him. I can just run him on that perimeter, and he goes down fast enough. We're already going on to the second one. And this is becoming a really fast raid. We're finishing up the second room, and it looks like we're going to finish up probably around 2.5 minutes, which is actually starting off really fast. And because we got that Vanguards at the end of the raid, it's really nice to have this early fast entry. So let's see, we're 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and just like I said, we're going to be hitting just about that 2.5 minute mark when we finish the room. Perfect. 2:30 and the room is down, and we are going into crabs, and luckily enough we actually got the CM crabs. So if you're familiar with CMs, you'll notice this room a lot. This is the exact layout for a CM crab, and I don't do any sweaty technique, right? I'm not trying to get to do all kinds of fancy running around and getting that one, that one crystal round. And what I like to do, I always do the same thing, right? I hit that melee right there, and I go for the melee crystal. So I try to get that range crystal really fast and maybe make it up, and just bad luck right there. Bad timing, bad luck with that one crab walking away, and we're wasting a little bit of time right here. But to be honest, if you do it this way, there's never any need to get frustrated about wasting time, because that first crab that you smacked, he's gonna be stuck there for at least another crystal. So this is not an efficient way to run the CM crab room, but it works for me, and it gets me those 20-minute kills when I'm just running those casual runs, and I'm happy with that. I don't need to be getting sub 17-minute speed runs. I don't need to be getting sub 18-minute speed runs. I'm happy with just running those 20-minute raids. And if I have an inefficient crab, or I waste an extra 15, maybe 20 seconds of crabs, I really don't care. It's fine. That 20 seconds isn't a make it or break it with a perp. And if it adds up over the course of 50 hours worth of runs, and I lose one CoX over 40 or 50 hours of runs, oh well, it's really not that big of a deal. But we're finishing up the first floor, and we're going into the last floor, the second floor of our third and final CoX of this 1 hour run. So as we enter the second floor, we're going into Mutadiles, and you can see I actually was using those anglers throughout this, and I'm still pretty potted up, right? I still got 108 range, I still got 104 strength, and honestly, even that magic, even that heart, so this is under 5 minutes, and it's really nice, and we're making good time, and we're going to do the same strategy as before because it worked out in that last raid. So we'll keep our range gear on while we mage him down. So we got that range torso and those range legs, and we can just get him down to about 50% health while we continue to chop that tree, right? Hopefully our Sang does a little bit of work. We see he's hanging out in melee range, so we'll just keep that melee prayer on, and he just hit about half health, so we'll just take that tree down, and as soon as that tree goes down, we'll throw on our mage gear, and we're going to finish him up. And we're going into the very end of our third raid after this, that final Vanguard room. And hopefully our Vanguard goes a little bit smoother than it did in that last one, and we don't single claw spec the melee, or wow, I'm still lingering on that. Such bad RNG. I still can't believe that happens. Very rare, but it's clear and easy to see that it does happen, which is really unfortunate. So let's take down Mama, and we still have not drank any of our brews, so we actually still have that pre-pot active going into the final room in this raid, and it's really nice. And at this point, because we're killing the very last monster before we get another overload, we're happy to just, well, we can tick eat, we can drink a little bit of brew. There we go. Maybe tick eat that one. Maybe tick eat the next one. We have 35 health, so we're not really at risk of dying. But we're just going to try and take Mama down, and then we'll get a nice brew. And those Vanguards, what's nice about them is that we always are going to have a full set of supplies going into Olm if we get that Vanguard room. So be careful you don't run out. You don't want to accidentally get chomped, right? That was a little risky right there, but we'll drink that pot, and we'll get fully topped off for Vanguards because we know that they're going to completely replenish our supplies, right? So let's drink all of our potions. Let's get fully topped off. So drink that overload, and while we're running, we'll drink as much brew as we need to get all the way back up to max 99 health. Because these Vanguards are going to be dropping us quite a few supplies. They're going to drop us as many supplies as we need, so we're willing to drink brews, we're willing to drink super restores, and we just want to go in, and like I said, I always start my vanguards with my range gear on. I like starting in range, and really it's just personal preference. And before they dig, I know I can get 3 hits off, right? So there's 3 hits and they dig, and it'll always be that way. If you can hit them on their first tick of spawn, you'll be able to get 3 range hits off. So let's hit that major, and hopefully we can get a decent hit. Got 2 decent hits, and now we can actually just shoot a quick mage hit at the ranger, or we can go in with that claw spec and a nice fatty claw spec, right? And we see that that major has high health, so we can just take that major down. A nice 225. And this is the point where we can switch into our mage gear and get one last hit before he digs, hopefully, and maybe we get another one. Nice, and we're getting some really good hits off before they're digging, and they're all still relatively equal. So at this point, we'll swap into that mage gear, and we'll get a nice big hit on the meleeer. We can kind of stand underneath him, a decent hit on the major, a really big hit on the major, and now we'll just go down to that ranger and finish him up. Very nice, very nice. We get that big XP drop, and we're good to kill. So we can just finish off the major, and this was a much smoother Vanguard's room than it was in the last raid. Much smoother Vanguard's room. So we'll go and spec down that ranger. Boom. And we'll take down that major. Didn't even do a full 6-way swap because it's more important at this point to just get those hits off than be in the entire set of mage gear. Right? And we can grab all the supplies we need. Make sure that we get, because we're missing a prayer enhance. We got to get a prayer enhance before we leave here. We're looking for it, and there it is. We see that final prayer enhance. So we'll get our health fully topped off, and we will drop it. Drop one of our super restores after we get our prayer top back off, and grab that prayer enhance. We cannot leave the room without the prayer enhance. We're gonna want it for Olm, especially because while we are entering Olm with 3 super restores, one of them is our Sandfew, and that's big bucks, guys. I don't want to waste that Sandfew if I don't have to, so I will take that prayer enhance. Always try to enter Olm for sure with an overload, and most, like, if you can, with a prayer enhance. If you really get stuck with a raid that never gave you a prayer enhance, it should be okay. You might just have to be pretty wary of your prayer and worry about those smite orbs. So make sure that you have a fairly low prayer level throughout the course of your raid, or throughout the course of your Olm kill, so that those smite orbs aren't wasting excess prayer. But here we go. We're entering Olm, and let's see how we do this engage. Let's pay attention to this engage. What side does he spawn on? Spawns on that far side, so we spam click him. Look at this. And then we jump all the way to the other side, and we get right into that 3-0 cycle. And boom, it's instant set. So that's always how I begin my Olm engages. That is always how I begin my Olm engages, especially if he spawns on the opposite side of the room. And I did take that prayer orb, right? I did take that big 55 from the prayer orb, but it doesn't matter because it's the very beginning of the kill. I came in with absolutely full health. I have a ton of brew, and while I could have prayed against it, and it probably would have been better to pray against it, it's not the end of the world because I have the Sing Staff, and the Sing Staff will be topping me off with any sort of even semi-decent RNG, and that's really what we're hoping for right now. So we're back up to 66 health, and that's because the Sing does its job. And this is one of the biggest reasons why I really like the Sing over the Shadow for Olm, is because it's going to keep my HP high. It's going to save me brews, and this is looking like a really good run so far. So I'm only at 11 minutes, right? On that last raid, we hadn't even entered Olm at this time. We were still outside running to Olm, and we almost have that Mage Hand. It's over half down right now. And this is looking like it's going to be a pretty fast raid. So the Mage Hand is going down pretty soon now, and we have decent health, right? We're going in, we have 66 health. Hopefully RNG smiles upon us and gives us one last decent hit, and we're going to be ready to go into that melee hand, and our overload ran out, so it really didn't even matter. So we'll overload up, and maybe we get one last heal out that Sang. Otherwise, we're going to be entering the melee hand with 50 health, and that will be okay if that ends up being the case. So we're watching our XP drops, looking for it to go down, and it's down, and we enter the melee hand with 69 health. So we did have one final heal off that Sang. Very nice. And with that Elder Maul, we're going to do that 2-1 spec. There we go. And we see that he uses crystals, so here comes a 1-0. We saw I use that special attack, so we do that 1-0, and that forces him out of special attack. So let's see what he does now. Does he do one hit or two? There's one. And it's instantly set into a 3-1 cycle, and that's thanks to doing the 1-0. Otherwise, if we didn't do that 1-0 right there, we would have been being bombarded. Right now, he would have been throwing lightning at us, and if we hadn't managed to correct even after that, then we're dealing with portals. So that 1-0 was a game changer, right? We did that 1-0 because we saw he used crystals, and we had a 50-50 chance of instantly being set into the 3-1 cycle, and that's exactly what happened. And this was an extremely fast melee hand. Look at how fast this melee hand went down. And we're entering phase 2 of the fight at 13 minutes flat. Very nice. Throw on that mage gear. We have plenty of health, plenty of brew, plenty of restore. This is an easy clean kill. We're not even worried about our supplies at this point. So we can choose to brew, or we can choose to let our Sang do its job, and we're ultimately just going to let our Sang do its job because we have plenty of health. No point wasting brew. It's not like we're going to run out, but there's really no point wasting it. But here, let's do that count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, hit. Boom. And we're instantly set into that 3-0 cycle. So that's how we're always going to engage every phase. There's never any need to take damage from Olm when he spawns into his next phase if you know that you can attack after the 4th tick from when his hand becomes active. And this is how we always are going to engage Olm in any of his phase 2s and phase 3s. And I hope you see how we're doing that, how we don't necessarily need that visual metronome, how the metronome is a great tool and a huge aid when we're learning Olm to begin with, but it's not necessary once you get that timing down. But I'm not trying to say not to use the visual metronome. The visual metronome is a huge aid, and it's very nice, and I find myself still using it from time to time, but it's not necessary. And if you don't want to use the visual metronome, you literally don't have to. These kills can be done without it, but if you're feeling comfortable with it, if you still like your visual metronome, or you just like it in general, there's absolutely no harm in using it. But that Mage Hand is down, and we're going straight into the melee hand, and if I don't have time to get my special attack weapon on in time, I like to do that quick 1-0. So there we go. We do a 1-0, and then we do that 2-0, and we switch into our Scythe for our 3-1 cycle, and we see what he has to offer. So let's see. Does he use a special attack? And he gives us portals. So already starting out Scuffed. Bad RNG. We're going to get right back into it, and hopefully we can set this head. So let's see. We don't know what cycle he's in right now, so we're just going to do a 3-1 and see what happens this time. He's got that flame wall, and we need to do a 2-1 because he just did 2 hits on us. And look at how he skipped that flame wall right there. Look at how nice that flame wall skip was, right? But we got our timing off. We're still pretty scuffed. This is becoming a very scuffed melee hand. We don't know what he's going to do, so let's just reset it. We'll go into a 3-1 right now. So not a smooth melee hand, but it's okay because we had plenty of supplies. We're just going to see what happens. And his hand is so low, I'm at the point where, wow, this hand has been so scuffed. Please, let's just take it down. I don't want to worry about weird hits anymore. Took too much excess, too many excess hits right there. Too much excess damage. But we were able to be risky because we knew that we had a ton of brews. So we might as well just get that full 115. Why not? We're going into 3rd phase of the 3rd kill of this 1-hour run. And we have so many supplies that we're not even worrying about it. We're laughing in the background. We're laughing. This is such a good Olm. We're having a good kill, even with those scuffed special attacks, even with that scuffed P3 or that scuffed melee hand right now. It doesn't even matter because we know that we're on pace for that 20-minute kill, which is all that we aim for. We just want a nice 19, 20, 21-minute kill. It really doesn't matter. As long as we're on pace for that 20-ish minute and we're getting close to 3 kills per hour, I'm happy. I feel like I'm doing good raiding. I feel like this is a successful hour. 3 raids in an hour. Hopefully I'm getting that purple, and we'll see at the end of this kill. Maybe we clutch out that purple, right? Maybe we actually get it, because these have been 3 deathless runs. We're hoping for that purple, and if it doesn't work out, guess what? We can just send 1 more hour of Olm and get 3 more KC under our belt, and it all works out. So let's finish up this Olm. We'll get that Mage Hand really low. Probably get it. So we know that our max hit right now in the gear that we're wearing, it's about, if we're overloaded up, it's about, I think it's a 47 or a 48. So I always try to get it below the max hit. So let's see, he's at a 107 right now. We're kind of noodling, but we want to get it definitely below 50 health, and preferably below 47, 48, or 45 health. And we see right there, he's still at a 49. Could get one last hit off. Still noodling. And there it is. We hit a nice 32, and we go on to the melee hand. And we can take our time, get that 2-1-0, or that 2-1 off right now. So here we go. Special attack 1, special attack 2, and we're going to jump right into the 3-1 cycle and see what Olm has to offer. So what kind of cycle is he in? What's he going to throw at us? And we get that portal again, already starting off really bad melee hand. Definitely not what we wanted, and we basically have to reset and get that. Oh, wow, and he does another special attack, and because it's P3, it's that healing special attack. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run it off. And we'll jump straight into a 3-1 cycle and see what we got. And he does that flame wall. And because that was a late flame wall, we can't necessarily do a flame skip right there, so we're going to have to just set it back up, do that 1-0, and jump straight back into cycle. And we'll go straight back into the 3-1. So here we go. Yet again, we got to see what he's going to throw at us, right? And he did 2 hits, so now we need to do a 2-1. So there's 1, 2. And we're going to do that 2-1 right here. Boom. And he's immediately set into the 3-1 cycle. And if you're wondering, how was I seeing these kind of things? How was I able to reset him even after portals? How did that portals happen and we were still able to get him back into a 3-1 cycle, like, without just getting bombarded by special attacks? And if you want to learn how I did that, I have a 3-1 guide or a 4-1 guide, and I'll link that in the description if you want to learn how I know, how I recognize what kind of cycle Olm is in, or how to get him into the cycle that I want him to be in. And yet again, we're on our final head phase. This is the end of the run, and we're going to do efficient 4-1 Olm Head. And I always run, especially if I have the supplies, right? And I have 3 full brews right now. If I have supplies like that, I always run a 4-1 efficient Olm Head. And if you want to learn how to run a 4-1 efficient Olm Head, I will have a guide for that linked in the description below as well. So while we're finishing up this run, let's just talk about it, right? These 3 runs were about 20 to 21 minutes each. We just hit the 20-minute mark right here, so this is going to be somewhere between 20 and 21 minutes. And with those super fast efficient bank trips, we're going to end up beating 3 CoX in probably about an hour and 4 minutes, maybe an hour and 5 minutes. And I consider that to be about 3 CoX per hour, 3 CoX KC per hour. And in my opinion, you know, that's just what I want. If I'm getting raids like this and able to send them consistently hour after hour, I feel like I've done a good job. I feel like I'm getting good KC. I have really decent chance at perps, and I'm happy with my rating progress at this point. And I don't mean me, like, as an individual, even though I am, but I feel for anyone in general, if you're running these 20, 21, 19-minute CoX, and you're running them consistently over and over, and you're not bringing that blood fury, and you're not wasting money, and you're just doing really fast, efficient bank trips, then it's successful, and they're good runs, and you have really high chances to get those purples, those solo perps, and you can just make buku bucks and big money. So I hope you guys learned something through these raids. I hope you got to see some really cool Olm techniques. I hope you got to see how I run my casual raiding, and I hope that you guys like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Comment below. I always reply back, and I'll see you boys later. Peace.